Hey everybody, it's Pete. Welcome to Stock Trading Pro. Today's episode of Stock Market Live, we're going to focus on something that is hitting everybody in the wallet right now, which is inflation. Everybody's complaining about it. Everybody should be complaining about it. Prices are going through the roof. Specifically going to talk about it today because the CPI is coming out today, Consumer Price Index, and the number is expected to be higher. We're going to take a look at that. The challenge that we all have right now is you go out to eat, you go out to get gas, you go out to buy anything that you really need, and prices are going through the roof. Our regular lunch right now has almost doubled. It's crazy. But as we know, we are people who like to take things into our own hands. You didn't become a stock trader by chance. We're now going to determine how we can profit from these rising prices. We're going to define what inflation means, and we're going to take a look at the group of stocks that would have the highest likelihood of going higher during inflationary periods. And then we're going to take a look at the group of stocks that has the greatest likelihood of going down during inflationary periods. And it's actually pretty simple, but I want to map it out because it's really stuff that you need no matter what, and stuff that you really don't need, but usually buy when you have discretionary income. And as inflation goes higher, we tend to not have the discretionary income. So we're going to break it down. We're going to make it super simple. We're going to give you a list of the best stocks to buy now in higher inflationary periods. Remember, the CPI comes out today, so it's going to have a pretty good impact on the market. And then we're going to talk about stocks, if you understand short selling, that have a very high likelihood of going down during rising inflationary periods. So stick around. I'll be back in just 1 second. Okay, so everything we discuss on these videos is for educational purposes. We're going to start out with the market. This line in the sand is actually the stock market from January of 2022. You can see it's been anything but smooth sailing. Quite frankly, mostly selling or short covering. This rally here was when the Fed raised interest rates, finally took action. And since then, the preceding 3 weeks have been selling. The big thing we want to focus on right now is inflation and how we can profit from an inflationary period. Now, this is really what we're going to talk about. First, I don't want to take anything for granted. We're going to talk about first exactly what is inflation, and it really comes down to purchasing power. And purchasing power simply means how far does your dollar go when you go out to the store, whether it's buying gas, you go to Costco, you go to Walmart, all of those things, even just as simple as I said, going out and getting lunch. Consumer prices are going higher. Everything is through the roof, which is what inflationary periods, prices are being inflated. That's probably the easiest way to understand it. So essentially, your dollar doesn't go as far as it did. That's the global definition that we're going to give to what inflation means and how it affects stocks, how it affects our pocket, how it affects the stock market, and more importantly, this video, how it's going to affect which stocks are the best stocks to buy now. Okay. So inflation, this is the big thing. Inflation seen nearing a 4-decade high in March. So just put that into the context right now. You can see the picture here of gas prices. Depending on where you live, it's actually even much higher than that right now. So CPI coming out today. How does that affect the market? How has it affected the market? Well, let's not look too far to the past. This is exactly what we have right now. We have rising inflation, as you can see here, the highest in the last 40 years. That's a significant number. That's obviously weighing on the market. The Fed raising interest rates to tame inflation is the big conversation. So if you are a passive stock market participant and you hear all the language but not really sure what it means, as inflation goes higher, as consumer prices start to go higher, again, there's conversations about whether that's from supply chains being jammed up. Who knows? Everybody's got their opinion on it, but let's put it into context so it's actionable. As prices go higher, consumer prices, your prices, my prices, the things that we have to pay for things, that means that the economy is running hot. When the economy runs hot, and especially in the Fed's opinion, too far, too fast, the main lever that they have is to raise interest rates. So that's why there's a lot of conversations around the Fed, a lot of conversations about the Fed and how fast and how often they're going to raise interest rates. And that lever will cool down the economy, which should bring consumer prices back down. So far, they've only raised once. They raised a 1/4 basis point. It looks like on the next meeting, they're intending to raise a 1/2, which should bring these things down. So the point is right now, if you're feeling the pinch in the pocket, that's why. Inflation is going up and the Fed is acting to bring those prices back into reasonable numbers, for lack of a better way of putting it. Okay. So moving on, this is what we're all looking at today. So it is April 12th, 2022. We are now this morning going to get the Consumer Price Index report. It's for March of 2022, and they're expecting it to jump 1.1% from where it was. You can actually see here, this is Las Vegas with different price, over $5. I think in California, it's over $6 for gas right now. So it's not expected to be a good number for the market, which is now going to make the Fed take action even more. Okay, so we're going to bring this all back to which are the best stocks to buy now and how you can profit from the stock market as inflation goes up. Because none of this is really good news for our pocket, our wallets, our pocketbooks, not going as far as they used to. But remember, right now, our main goal with this video is to put you in position to profit from the stock market. Actually, you know what? It's kind of an interesting conversation that reading headlines when you understand which stocks get affected by those headlines kind of makes it kind of fun. Nobody wants to pay higher prices for anything, but if you can compensate for that by buying stocks now, it doesn't hurt as much, right? So that's what's coming out today. You need to know this number that's coming out today. So what and where should we be buying stocks? Which stocks should we be buying now? So during rising inflation and during declining inflation is what we're going to talk about. So we're really going to focus on this paragraph right here. Generally speaking, financial advisors would suggest that cash is one of the worst asset classes because remember, if you've ever heard of purchasing power and somebody who had money 5 years ago based on inflation, it's worth X amount today, that's what they're talking about. So being in cash is not keeping up with inflation. You generally hear if somebody got a raise, what does that raise mean factoring in inflation? So $3 today is really $5, a year from now, that kind of stuff. So let's get to the best stock picks now. So for example, when there's high inflation, as we just talked about, 40-year highs, companies will pass the rising costs on to us. Exactly, right? Consumer prices are going up. We're paying more at the pump. We're paying more pretty much everywhere. So now we want to focus on things that we need no matter what versus stuff that we would like to have. So the phrase that we're going to be using here is consumer staples. Sometimes it's known as consumer staples, consumer defensive versus consumer discretionary. So if you can think of the word discretion, you're using your discretion whether or not you actually need it. Consumer staples is stuff you need no matter what. And that's really what we're going to break it down to. So now, obviously, we don't need jewelry, although it's nice. So that would be consumer discretionary. But there are certain necessities, okay, which is now going to break it down into what those are. Now, there's also other areas such as real estate, utilities, and gold. We're going to focus mostly right now on consumer staples and the other side of the market, which is consumer discretionary, so that we can have a bunch of stocks. Now, this list right here, you can see that we track every day. So we're going to focus on healthcare is one of the ones that you absolutely need to be a participant of. Obviously, you can't do away with healthcare, but we're going to focus right now on consumer defensive, which you can see consumer defensive heading into today, into Tuesday, rose to the top of the list. Should not be shocking with the CPI number coming out today. And we're going to go all the way down to the bottom here, consumer cyclical. Now, if you'd like a copy of this template, you can get this inside of our Facebook group. Just click down into the description and the link and make sure you sign up for our Facebook group. It's a blank copy, so you can start to build this out for yourself. But I want to focus all the way over here, and I want to go over into our sector list. And this is really the big thing that a lot of people like to have. So we're going to scroll all the way down, and you can see as we work our way down, all the way down, we are going to go into, where did we get to? Here, consumer defensive. These are the stocks to be keeping an eye on while the market is seeing a rising inflationary period. So we're going to break these down a little bit more detail. I just want to show you how to get to them. Then just above that, consumer cyclical, also known as consumer discretionary. You can see that the list is pretty big. Amazon, eBay, casinos, Starbucks coffee, electric vehicle cars. These are the ones that are going to get hit. Peloton, these are the ones that are going to get hit pretty hard. So make sure you go into the Facebook group and you get a download of this for yourself. But here's the thing. You want to break it down now to which stocks actually should we be looking at. We're actually going to start out on the side of which stocks would we be looking to buy, and that's the consumer defensive type stocks. So I'm going to give you a list right now of those ideas and stuff. Think in terms of stuff that you need no matter what. So we're going to be talking about Target. We're going to be talking about DG, Dollar General, Kroger, ELTR, Dollar Tree. You can see that Dollar Tree is actually rallying pretty good. Philip Morris, I guess people are smoking more now in this environment. TSN, Tyson Foods, PG, Procter & Gamble, the stuff that you absolutely positively need to have no matter what. Walmart and Costco. You actually throw Pepsi in there. I don't know if you necessarily need Pepsi, but it is a consumer staples that is very popular. And again, you can see the rising prices of all of these stocks in this rising consumer deflationary period. So remember, we're bringing it back to this, how to profit during this inflationary period. Now, the stocks on the other side of the market, which are known as consumer discretionary. And these are stocks that typically go down because you have to make a discretionary choice of whether or not you need that jewelry, whether or not you need the $5 Starbucks and that kind of thing. So we're going to shift on over now into stocks that are going down during this period of time. And obviously electric vehicle stocks, although NEO had a bounce yesterday. Gambling is consumer discretionary. So DKNG, Penn, these are not the best stocks to buy now during this period. Rivian, so you can see that we're talking about electric vehicle stocks have been getting hit. CZR, Caesars, Wynn. So casino stocks are not stocks that should be going higher during this period of time. Peloton. We have a pretty big list of stocks that are going up or would be considered the best stocks to buy now during this inflationary period. Remember, take control of that. Don't complain about the prices you're paying at the pump. Look for the stocks that we're talking about now. Find the bullish order flow and get involved in those and put that money back in your pocket with the right trades. Other side of the market, if you understand short selling, we just gave a big list of stocks that tend to go down during inflationary periods. This is what separates somebody who takes control using this financial education instead of complaining about it. If you have any questions, absolutely leave a comment below. And if you haven't done so already, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. Have an awesome day.